Chicago, this is an update story, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to kind of let you guys know about. We got a few more details so that way I can kind of fill you in on some things that were missing with this story. So I noticed that quite a few people saw it within a short amount of time on the channel. So we want to continue to expand on that. But before we get there and we talk about this beautiful baby that we're going to give an update on, some of you might have already heard. But yeah, it's heartbreaking. You might find my content offensive and controversial. The information coming from this, the information in this video is coming from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news websites, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinion about the facts of this story. The point is to use this as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like this going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That's your disclaimer. So nobody should have any thin skin when I say what I'm about to say, and I'm about to get deep in this, okay? We're about to get real deep, so I'm telling you guys now, if you're going to be sensitive about the things that I say, this might not be the podcast for you, okay? For everybody else that wants to hear what my real take is, I called this out from the jump. I'm going to give some supporting details to let you know why I said what I said. Now, an autopsy was on Wednesday was confirmed to be on Josiah Brown, and that's his name. And we didn't have his name at first, but we at least have his name now. And he's the 3-year-old boy who was allegedly pushed into the lake by his aunt, Lake Michigan, at the Navy Pier. And the update is that he did not pull through. That baby's body fought as hard as it possibly could. And I'm just thankful that he had such a fighting, strong spirit that he tried to survive as long as he did, but he didn't pull through. He died Sunday at Laurie Children's Hospital. 6 days. He fought for 6 days after the fire department divers pulled him out of the lake in critical condition. And I've got some thoughts about that. I'm going to piss y'all off with my thoughts about the people who just watched it happen. Okay? So that's your fair warning. If you're going to get triggered about what I said in the last video, I'm telling you, I'm about to say it again. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office announced Wednesday afternoon that an autopsy determined that he died as a result of complications from his drowning, and his death was ruled as a homicide. Josiah's aunt, by the name of Victoria Moreno from Des Plaines, is 34 years old. Let me get her decrepit, dumbfounded looking face on my screen. Looks like a ball of melted clay. I don't know why this woman's face looks like that. See if I can get more of a solo shot of her. Beautiful little baby. Look at this. 34 years old, and I'm telling you, man, she looks like a freaking demon in the face. She's been charged with attempted first-degree murder and aggravated battery to a child. Let me explain why they're probably getting the attempted first-degree murder, because first-degree murder would involve premeditation. So she allegedly already attempted to try to take more children up to this pier and probably do the same thing. And when that attempt failed for whatever reason, she somehow was able to steal somebody's keys that was watching this child, stole the keys of that person, essentially kidnapped this child. I don't know whether there's not a kidnapping charge in there. It would be nice if they just slapped her with every charge in the book. It looked like they'd already slapped her in the face physically. But I think that she kidnapped the child, drove to the pier, looked around to make sure that nobody was looking, pushed him to make it seem like it was an accident, and she just stood there and looked as if she didn't know what was going on. And what was even wilder, and it's going to come up in here. I'm going to tell you guys here in just a moment. Let me just skip that part because I know that's the part that's going to piss people off. She is being held with no bail. They expect Moreno to be facing additional charges after the medical examiner's office and Chicago police complete their investigations. Again, I think they should throw in kidnapping. I would like to see that charge. Prosecutors said early that afternoon, Josiah was at the family's DePlain home where he lives with his grandmother and another aunt. 2 aunts and a grandmother. I know people go through problems, but that sounds like a lot of grown people living under a roof that... Anyway. Moreno allegedly stole the keys to the family's truck and took Josiah without telling the other family members. Another family member became alarmed when she noticed Moreno and the child were gone. Moreno was not allowed to drive because of medications she's on for mental health issues. And again, I want y'all to remember this: mental health is no excuse for hurting, murdering, and abusing children. And I hope they stand on that, especially in this case. Don't give her any outs. Don't give her any less of a sentence because you want to claim mental illness. Because she knew what she was going to go do, planned it, and executed it. The family was especially worried because the week before, according to CBSNews.com, I forgot to mention that. That's where I'm getting this article from. So thank you, CBSNews.com, for the article. The week before, Moreno had taken 3 children living at the family home to the Navy Pier, also without permission. The oldest child, an 11-year-old, called other family members for help and told them their location. During the chain of events on September 19th, Moreno drove into Chicago and attempted to enter the Shedd Aquarium with Josiah, but could not because she only had cash, according to prosecutors. Shortly after noon, she parked at the Navy Pier and entered a McDonald's to order food, getting a Happy Meal for Josiah. Moreno eventually took the boy to the pier, where chains are located on the post to keep people away from the water. The boy crawled under the chains and got to the edge of the platform. When no one was present, Moreno let the boy crawl towards the edge of the pier. She climbed over the chains, straddled him, and then pushed him into the lake, prosecutors alleged. Moreno sat and stared into the water as the child was drowning, prosecutors allege. All of the events were caught on surveillance cameras, so they were able to see all of this. 2 people heard the child hit the water. Matter of fact, I wonder why they have to say alleged if they watched the video and watched it happen. Maybe y'all can tell me. Maybe they're just doing it for protective purposes, for the integrity of the case. We're about to get there. We're about to talk about that GoFundMe here in just a second. But I don't know why they have to say alleged if you saw it happen and you're giving the report to the news and the news puts out, hey, this is what they said they saw. 2 people heard the child hit the water and saw Moreno crouching by the platform. They asked what happened to the boy and she said nothing, but later claimed that she didn't know the boy. 2 witnesses called police and got a life ring. But several minutes after the boy was pushed, he sunk under the water. And I want y'all to remember that he was not pulled out of the water for a half an hour, 30 minutes. Even a grown adult that would have been struggling might have had difficulty lasting for half an hour, let alone a baby. One witness by the name of Ashton King was at the pier and saw the boy in the water. The red flags were there, King said. She was acting very weird, and I did end up telling the officer. I said, listen, she was the only one here when we got here. She's just been acting off, acting weird. I just don't know if she's off. Something's not right. Moreno did not ask for help and pretended to not know the child when questioned by police, according to prosecutors. The Chicago Fire Department divers found Josiah at the bottom of the lake about 30 minutes after he fell in. The boy went into cardiac arrest and was rushed to Lurie Children's Hospital in very critical condition. He died Sunday morning, 6 days after the incident at the Navy Pier. The family created a GoFundMe originally for the boy's medical expenses, which has raised more than $19,000 so far. So much more I want to talk about. There's 3 things I want to talk about. I want to talk about race. I want to talk about saving the child. And I want to talk about GoFundMe. Let's talk about race first, because I think that'll be a little bit easier for me to give again, because I've already given this take. I said to myself, since she planned this, why would she have a hate for this baby? It's not her child. It's not her responsibility. She's not contributing anything to the household. Why would she have a vendetta against this child or even the other children? I'm just looking at this, and I'm going to tell y'all, let me go back, look at this picture. And I said, that boy looks like he's like a mixed child, a mixed race child. Watch my other video. I've said that in that video. And I said, what was the motive? Because I'm always thinking about why did this happen? So that helps us where we can figure out maybe how to prevent this going forward. I said, this looks like a black child. Very tight curly hair. And I said, he's probably a mixed race child. And I know that there are some people in the world, I know it's not everybody, it's not all. But I know there are some people in some races that despise black people. Anything associated with black people. I'm going to say that that's her mindset. Maybe not everybody else's. Maybe not everybody in that household. But definitely it was her mindset. I believe that this woman was racist, not the system of racism, but just talking about the mindset, the bigotry and prejudice, which we now call in actions and sometimes thoughts, we call that racism. Even though it's not correct, but we've kind of changed that term. So most people ought to understand that when we say racist, we mean that thought, that mindset. I believe that this woman was racist, and I believe that she attempted to kill this child just because he was black. That's my take on race. Let's talk about, and that's not even the shock, because it's not shocking that people might have a little hatred in their heart for other races, because this country is constantly stirring this race argument, and it's making people's ugly thoughts and feelings come out. So I'm not shocked. Racism is not dead, okay? It's really not. All right? Now, second part. It wasn't just one woman who saw this, observed, and didn't jump in to help. It was actually 2. 2 women, one of them gave an interview that saw the child at least struggling before he went under the water. And I said, you have 2 healthy, grown adults that, in their words, they had their shoes off ready to jump in and didn't jump into the water to try to save the child. So here's what I was thinking in my head, because I can understand that might be scary. You don't know what's in that water. You don't know how deep it is. You don't know if you're going to die yourself, right? You're taking a big chance. I get that. But in my opinion, and maybe that's just the man in me, maybe that's just the father in me, maybe this is just the counselor in me. But I would give my last breath if it means that I could save a child, especially if it were my daughter. That's not even a question. I think everybody already knows that I love my daughter to the end of the earth and back. But I would absolutely take a chance to try to save this child, jump in, and hope for the best. Because I think, like, it's a baby. I'm not going to just sit and watch a baby die. That I'm just not going to do, okay? Now, granted, I learned how to swim by my auntie. I got to give her a shout out. I'm not going to put her name out there, but she knows who she is. And she was very adamant about making sure, and maybe she understood that in the black community, a lot of us didn't really learn how to swim. Maybe we weren't taught. Maybe we were scared. I don't know. But it seems like black people are allergic to pools and swimming, right? A lot of times I've been to plenty of pool parties with black folks that won't jump in the water. But guess who are the people who always jump in the water? The white folks at the party. And I'm not saying one or two parties. I'm not saying 10 or 20 parties. I'm saying I've been to hundreds of pool parties. It's just a mere observation. Hashtag not all. For those who will, well, they all white people, Jay. It ain't all black people, Jay. I know it's not all, and I never imply that it's all, okay? But I'm just saying, if I had to choose between, let me not even say it that way. Let me just say it like this. You have two grown adult women. I figured the chance of one of them being able to swim would be high. If I had to put my money on one of them being able to swim, I would think one of these females ought to be able to swim, especially when they gave an interview and said that they took their shoes off and were preparing to jump in the water. And I'm thinking, why did you not? What prevented you? What prevented you? Now, I want you also to remember that she wouldn't have just been ass out if there was nothing close to grab onto, maybe nothing underneath the pier or some type of something she could grab onto and hold onto until help comes. There was a life preserver nearby that they both laid eyes on. Did they take it out and throw it into the water to the kid before he went under? From what I understand, based on their words, the answer is no. They didn't even throw the life raft out to the kid so he could at least grab onto the goddamn thing. Second point is, if you jumped in, you could have told the other grown woman, hey, throw me the life preserver. Or option C, you could have taken the life preserver and jumped in with the MFing thing. Was that ever a thought? At least if you can hold on to the goddamn thing, you're not going to go under. Am I wrong for what I'm saying? Now, granted, in the moment, maybe you're not thinking that clearly. Maybe your thoughts are foggy. It's scary. It's surreal. I get it. It's like, oh my God, it's a nightmare happening in front of your eyes. I understand that. I understand that. But they didn't have 10 seconds to make a decision. They didn't have 2 minutes to make a decision. They didn't even have 5 minutes. Not 10. Not 15. Not 20. Not even 25. By the time that the men showed up, the ones who are going to actually jump in and risk their life for that child, 30 freaking minutes had passed. Tell me when I said something that is factually inaccurate. That is what I read from multiple interviews and reports. Just like I've given my disclaimer, I'm not just speaking things just because I'm mad. I'm not just saying stuff just to be throwing stuff to the wall to see what's going to stick. I'm basing this off of sound logic. I would think that an adult person, especially two, and notice that they talked about the life preserver. That's what it's for. Take it and you jump in the water with it. If nothing else, by the time that they get there, maybe you can't dive underneath the water. I get that. But the child had fought so long to stay above the water. Within those minute or two, few minutes, grab the life preserver, jump in, potentially grab him and pull him up, and y'all hang on to the life preserver. Is that too much to ask? I'm sorry, but if you ask me, and you're going to see that interview again with those ladies on there, and I know that she's probably beating herself up about this, and I think that maybe some of the criticism is justified. I don't think that people should ruin her life. Let me say that. Let me say it again to the family and friends of her, and maybe to that young lady if she's listening. So I'll look into the camera and I'll say, I do not think that people need to make your life miserable, and I don't want them to make your life miserable. But I just want us to be way more aware and protective of our children. All of these children are all of our responsibility. I think that that's the way that the world should work. So I want y'all to think about how we try to create this narrative in our world, and this is kind of going off script. We'll talk about the GoFundMe here in a second. I'm just speaking from the heart. Just speaking from the heart. But I just think that our world would be a much better place when we talk about equality, and men and women are the same. They should get paid the same. They should get treated the same. They should get the same amount of airtime on TV. The WNBA and the NBA should be getting paid the same wages. Right? We're always having this argument. Women are being marginalized. We don't look at them the same as we look at men. Let me say this. We could go back to 9/11. We could go back to the P. Murrah building bombing back in Oklahoma. We could look at any national tragedy. We could even look at the situation in Uvalde. I didn't see any women in there running up in that school with guns. Were they not allowed to be police officers? Were they not allowed to put their lives on the line? I don't know. Maybe they weren't. Sandy Hooks. We could look at a lot of situations where the people who are going and putting themselves in the danger, firefighters running into the fire, damn near 10 times out of 10 are men. This could have been a situation where they could have used and said, oh, look, you remember when those women jumped in the water to save that little boy? If it hadn't been for those women saving that boy, or at least attempting to save him, 30 minutes before the men showed up, jumped in, and picked the boy up out of the bottom of the freaking lake. Where's the equality? Equality starts in the mindset. And if you're going to call yourself equal, then I think that your actions need to equal rather than just your mouth. And that's my personal opinion about that. Last thing that I want to talk about before I show you guys this news video. I know some of y'all are pissed about what I just said, but guess what? Just tell me when I said something that ain't based on facts. Well, my narrative is not based on facts. I think it's more based on people's feelings. I don't give a damn about people's feelings in general. But let me show you guys this big old GoFundMe page. Yeehaw. I want you guys to take a look at this. 6 days ago, an individual by the name of Jesse Castaneda, or Castaneda, Josiah, also known as JoJo, was in a very tragic incident on Monday the 19th. He was pulled from the water at the Navy Pier. If you've seen the news or saw the news, he's in very critical condition and any kind of help would be appreciated. Please help JoJo and his family with any kind of help. Share, prayers, or donation. Thank you. Now, in the news report, they say that they raised $19,000, and I think that's all well and good. Did y'all see, and I want y'all to look at the screen while I try to find my screenshot. Did y'all see how much this person was asking for? For a child that was in critical condition and a child that was clearly on his way to a difficult time of being able to survive. Can everybody see that number up there? I wonder if I can make that bigger. I think I can. Let's see if I can do it like this. Maybe y'all can't see that number up there. Can you see it now? I know that some people are going to have some opinions. I would love to see somebody defend somebody asking for $100,000 in the death of this baby. Here's the difference. I'm going to look into the camera and tell you guys this. I can understand if you put up a $10,000 GoFundMe and they give you $100,000. I could understand if you put up a $5,000 GoFundMe just to kind of help the process along and they give you $100,000. I could even understand maybe if you put up a GoFundMe somewhere around 15,000 maybe. Keep in mind he hadn't passed away. Keep in mind you haven't been billed for any hospital stays, any trauma stays, any medi flights or anything like that. You haven't gotten the bills yet. So you don't know what him being in the hospital is going to cost you going forward, let alone a funeral. This was put up 6 days ago and he just passed. So they didn't even know if he was going to live and survive or if he was going to pass away. Am I wrong for saying what I'm saying? Why $100,000? And notice that the GoFundMe donations are coming in, but they're not just fast flowing in. And I'm pretty sure because people saw that astronomical number and they were just like, damn, like, wow, $100,000. We'll give something, but sheesh. There's no way to justify that? I'm sure somebody out there has an answer. This baby boy was 3 years old, and I'm going to assume, like I do with most of these stories, is that he did not have life insurance. Matter of fact, his biological father, who I said was black, and come to find out, I was actually right. He did an interview, so it's okay that I can show you guys this. That's the biological black father. I don't know if y'all need me to make that any bigger on the screen. I think everybody should be able to see that. Let me see. Crop bottom. Crop top. So let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger so y'all can see that. It's a black man who clearly had a child with a woman of a different nationality. The dad has a heart condition. He's not in good health himself. What do you think the chances are that dad has life insurance? If he doesn't, he should have it. Everybody should have it. In the event that if you die, because guess what? It's going to happen to everybody. Everybody's going to die, right? Y'all are saying I look like him? Well, if he's handsome, then I'll take it as a compliment. If you think he's not handsome, then I'm gonna just cry myself to sleep tonight. So if he's handsome, cool. If he's not, then I'm just gonna cry myself to sleep tonight. Dad should definitely have life insurance, but I can guarantee you that child did not have life insurance. So again, I always think it's the weirdest thing how we won't invest in our children's lives, but we'll ask that society will take care of the death when we didn't even take care of the life. I just think that's a really weird thing. But again, I hope people don't mistake my perspective on that. Let me give you guys the fair usage. We'll see. Let's go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. You guys could always do me the hugest favor. All you got to do is click that thumbs up. What it does is it helps share this video, continue to share these stories like we've already done. So we want this one to get just as much attention, if not more. And we want to draw attention to these things where I think we need to be more hyper aware about saving children, protecting children, being willing to jump into the proverbial fire or even water to save children. Okay. Not only that, we need to be more mindful about life insurance. I'm actually going to have the lady, God dang it, I almost said her name. The lady that came onto my stream before, I'm going to have her on again, and we're going to talk, Rebecca. No, I didn't remember that. But we're going to have Rebecca come on and talk again about life insurance and kind of explain the why it's so important, and maybe even get people to get some of their questions answered. But this hate stuff has got to stop, man. It's really got to stop. Here we go. Let's go.
A tragic end to a disturbing and sad story. The little boy pushed into Lake Michigan at Navy Pier has died.
And tonight his family is left grieving as we await inevitably more charges for the boy's aunt. Tia Ewing is live in Studio 32 with more. Tia?
Well, Anthony and also Natalie, we met this family last year, and tonight double the heartbreak after learning that 3-year-old little boy has died from his injuries. That excitement coming from Josiah Brown, jumping into the arms of his dad, Dantrell Brown. Last year, Fox 32 featured the father and son.
This is what's inside of my heart.
LVAD Dad is what he's known as on TikTok. Educated people about his heart pump, called the LVAD, that helps it to pump blood. Earlier this month, Brown posted that he was in the hospital waiting on a transplant, and days later, what happened to his family has touched hearts all across the country. 3-year-old Josiah was with his aunt Victoria Moreno at Navy Pier when Chicago police say she pushed the toddler into Lake Michigan.
I ran to the lady and I go, "Who is this? Is this your who is this? Like, did you see this happen? Did you come with him? Did he fall in? What happened? What happened? What happened?" She did not answer any of my questions. And she essentially backed away. From like the water.
The family of Josiah was asking for donations to help with his care on GoFundMe. Sadly, Sunday, the boy died after surviving a week with multiple heart attacks and seizures. He was placed on a ventilator, but didn't survive.
To not have been physically able to jump down and pull him out of the water is the hardest thing that I think I will ever have to live with.
Just a heartbreaking story all the way around. The Cook County State's Attorney says their office anticipates additional charges will be filed after the medical examiner's office. And
Time right now 7:02, and now to a heartbreaking update. The toddler, police say, was pushed into Lake Michigan, has died. Joni is live with the latest. Joni.
Good morning. 3-year-old Josiah Brown was at the hospital for about a week. Yesterday, he died of his injuries. Additional charges are expected against the aunt who took him to Navy Pier. And it turns out that Josiah was part of a story that Fox 32 News did about his father. The 3-year-old can be seen frolicking with his dad, Dantrell Brown, last year. Sally Schulze did a report on the dad's battle to survive heart failure, diagnosed at age 22. On social media, Brown posted his heart is barely working, and he truly feels pain over what happened to his son. He's asking for prayers or donations to a GoFundMe account. The boy's aunt, 34-year-old Victoria Moreno, is accused of taking the little boy from their home in Des Plaines to Navy Pier, where she allegedly pushed him off the pier into the lake and then did nothing to help. Rescuers got him out, but Josiah suffered cardiac arrest and multiple seizures. Moreno is at the Cook County Jail. Her attorney says that she has mental health issues, but charges are expected to be increased against her now that the little boy has died. Reporting live, I'm Joni Lum. Now back to you.
Joni, thank you.
34-year-old Victoria Moreno is being held without bail tonight, charged with attempted murder and aggravated battery, accused of pushing her 3-year-old nephew off Navy Pier.
It is still underwater. They're diving right now, Squad.
According to prosecutors, Moreno lives with her family in Des Plaines and has a history of mental health issues. That Monday morning, prosecutors say she stole the keys to her family's car, grabbed her 3-year-old nephew, and snuck out without them knowing. Prosecutors say she drove to the city and went to Navy Pier. A week prior, she had done the same with her 2 nieces and nephew without the family's permission. Surveillance video captured her pulling into the parking garage, buying her nephew a Happy Meal at McDonald's, and then walking along the pier. Prosecutors say Moreno was careless with her nephew. At one point, he was almost hit by a car. Then she allowed him to crawl underneath a chain fence, blocking access to the water. Prosecutors say she pulled him back towards her when she noticed people watching, but when no one was around, they say she climbed over the fence and pushed him off the platform. The boy dropped 6.5 feet into the water.
We looked at the water, and that's when we saw the young boy. We kind of just sprung into action, asking her questions. Is this your son? Who is this?
Witnesses tried to save her nephew. Prosecutors say he was in the water for 30 minutes before divers pulled him out from the bottom of the lake.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's.
All right, yes. Let me go ahead and give you guys my closing thoughts about the story again. And I think this is probably going to, I can't say it's going to be the last time that I bring up the situation about those women, those two women that made a decision not to jump in that water. Like I said, I can understand, but I also don't want them tormented mentally or emotionally behind the choice that they made. But I know if it were me, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. You know, and I know if it were a lot of other people, they wouldn't have thought twice about it. And maybe it would have been nicer if more people would have been aware more quickly. Maybe they could have yelled to some other people that were around. Maybe somebody else would have had the wherewithal to grab the life preserver and jump in there. I don't know. I just hate to see that this baby lost his life. And it just seemed at that point, you really, truly had 3 adults that sat there and just watch the baby die. And that just really, really sucks, you know. But again, I think that it was racially motivated. And I think I've kind of demonstrated my belief in that. And I kind of showed it also with the proof of concept, with showing the biological father and kind of giving a backstory behind a little bit of the history behind people feeling some type of way about Black folks in general, very, very general. And then this whole thing with GoFundMe, like I say, it would be nicer if people would utilize GoFundMe for children who are living and make children's living lives better, as opposed to always wanting to give children who are in difficult situations or are passed away and giving them the best funeral that they're never going to freaking see. When I think that we could take $100,000 and maybe create a scholarship fund. Y'all know that what is it? Not college tuition. What is it? Like student loans are out here just drowning people. You know, I really hope that they do forgive all of these student loans. I really do. As much as we're talking about we're incurring debt, we're going to always be incurring debt in this world. We're always throwing money to this and throwing money to that. If we stop pushing all this money out to other countries and just take care of our country first, put America first. I don't remember who was it that said America first. Who was it that was campaigning and saying we should take care of America first? I don't quite remember who that was, but it seems to make sense, especially when you have so many veterans here in the United States of America. Yes, we get political on this channel too. If you don't like it, then that's just what we do. We talk about a plethora of things here, okay? When we have all of these homeless veterans out here, when we have homeless people in general, when we have all of these abused women, all of these abused children, when we have all of these children who don't even have a place to live and they're housing them in hotels instead of homes, that are in child protective services. Yes, when people are constantly good, law-abiding, good working people are losing their mortgages and loans and homes. And I think that we could do a whole lot of good for living people if we take care of our country and our home first. Am I wrong for saying that? I'm not the first person that said it. I just hope that the words that I say and the words that I utter get to the people that it matters to. The ones who can make a difference and affect these changes. I do what I can. I vote. I speak my voice, and I use my platform to try to push forth what I believe is a positive, constructive message. And that's what I hope to do with every single one of these stories. And I think I gave you that in my disclaimer. But this baby should have never lost his life. That woman should have never had access to him. And especially, you already had a huge red flag, the fact that she attempted to do this before. That was your warning. If you ask me, she should have never gotten a second opportunity to end this child's life for whatever twisted, demented reason that she did. She should have never got a second chance. But that was the universe's way of letting the people know, like, hey, keep this woman from away from these kids. It just really, really sucks, man. We lost another beautiful soul. And to that baby boy, beautiful smile. He could have grown up to become anything. R.I.P. This baby boy could have created technology that could even have prolonged and saved his own biological father's life, who was suffering from a heart condition. We just don't know, and now we'll never know. But again, Josiah, R.I.P., young prince. But y'all make sure to share this story as well. A little bit of an update. Definitely a sad update. But like, share, subscribe, because over here at the True Podcast channel, the AFC Podcast, we're going to continue to put our babies first. And we need to continue to live that message out. And that's another example where we could have done that, okay? Thank you.